What's up, everybody? Welcome to YouTube. I'm Joe Jackson, and today we're going to talk about the Lions' big win over the Bears and what it's going to take to stay in this playoff race. So, as you all know, on Saturday this week, the Lions beat the Bears 20-10. The Bears actually outgained the Lions, but 3 interceptions from Mitch Trubisky got the Lions the victory. So, what I liked about this performance, I would say one of the biggest things was the big play passing game. That big play to Marvin Jones just felt so refreshing. You know what I mean? It just felt like the Calvin Johnson years. Matt Stafford just saying, screw it. I'm just going to put this thing up in the air. You're going to go up and make a play. 3rd and 11. Who cares? He goes up, makes the catch. So far, he's been one of the best Lions' big play threats throughout the season. Golden Tate has turned short catches into big gains, but to have a deep play threat like Marvin Jones is really helping this team. And it helped us get a big play there to put us up, I think, by double digits. Or after that play, the Bears were so demoralized, they really couldn't come back. So that was big. I was worried about that before the season, about getting big plays from Stafford down the field. That's an element that used to exist with Calvin Johnson, but has kind of gone away. Well, it's starting to come back now. And also, if Kenny Galladay's healthy, he had that big play against Arizona. Who knows what he could do? He could definitely be a big part of this passing game in the future. He's already made some big catches this year when he's healthy. So I liked that. The next thing I liked, the running game was solid. Now, I know we didn't run for 200 yards or whatever. That's just not what this team is built to do. Our running game has really struggled so far this year. Last week against the Buccaneers, we only managed to get 53 yards. And the Bears' defense is not half bad. You get 53 yards rushing, you're not going to keep winning all these games. But in this game, our running backs combined for 19 carries, 92 yards, 4.8 yards per carry. The biggest thing there is the yards per carry. What that means is the Bears had to honor our running attack. They couldn't just load up the box and just think Stafford was going to throw all over the place. They at least had to honor the run game somewhat. It doesn't mean you have to run for 300 yards or set records. You just got to be solid like this every game. And this is a big deal because the Lions haven't done this throughout the year. They're one of the worst rushing teams in the league again. And it's interesting, they started Ameer Abdullah pretty much all season. But I think Caldwell made the right move taking him out. I think Abdullah's had his chance, but he hasn't proven anything. So he took him out and said, hey, Tion Green, we need you to step up. What do you got in the tank? So far, I've liked what I've seen out of Tion Green. Had that good game against the Ravens, had a good game against the Bears, too. If he can run for over 4 or 5 yards a carry, that's exactly what this team needs. Because we can get big plays in the air. We have the receiving threats. We have the offense to be successful. But having a good run game helps the quarterback, helps the receivers, helps the offensive line, helps the tight end. Just at least making it somewhat of a dimension. I liked what I saw out of Theo Riddick as well. He had some nice runs. I did not like the fumble. You got to get 2 hands on that football, but the ball security has been better than Ameer Abdullah's. That's part of the reason why Abdullah lost his job. So this good running game definitely was a big part of this game. And then on the other side of the football, I like the way our run defense played. Now, if you've been following this team all year, you've probably noticed that teams have ran all over them the past few weeks. The defensive line has suffered some big losses with Haloti Ngata and the Panthers game, Kerry Hyder Jr. before the season. Depth has been an issue at that position all season. And at the linebacker position, Tahir Whitehead hasn't been healthy all year. Our first-round pick, Davis, hasn't been healthy all year. So now our linebackers are healthy, but our defensive line's still very banged up, still with a lot of second-teamers, and they've held their own. I know they've struggled a little bit with the run defense, but they've kept us in games. And today they really came through. And I'm really surprised because Jordan Howard is one of the best running backs in the league, rushing-wise. This year, I think he's already ran for over 1,000 yards. And the last time the Bears played us, he ran all over us. He gashed our defense. 125 yards on just 15 carries in that game a month ago. Want to know what he did this game? 10 carries for 37 yards. No one else did anything either. Not Tariq Cohen. So you know what? Keep it up. They're plugging up the holes, doing a good job there. Like I said with the Lions offense, the running game helps their offense. When you don't have a running game, it puts that much more pressure on the quarterback. And I can tell you, I played defensive line in high school. I loved playing teams that only threw the football because it basically meant you could tee off as a defensive lineman. You knew they were going to throw the football. So you just go right after the quarterback every time. So the fact of the matter is, Trubisky had a lot of pressure, and that's why he had to throw 46 passes. You have to throw 46 passes in the game. Chances are you're doing something right. To put this into perspective, the Lions the last 5 games have really struggled with the run defense. They've given up 793 yards in these last 5 games, 158.6 yards per game. So only giving up 37 to Jordan Howard, I think it was 43 yards total, is a big step forward for a defense that has struggled in the second half of the year. The next 2 games, we got Green Bay, we got Cincinnati. Neither team has really ran the football that well. I know Joe Mixon's a great athlete. And the Rodgers have Jamal Williams and the guy out of UTEP, I forget his name. But if we can stop Jordan Howard, then that's a big step forward. And the run defense played great earlier in the season. Another thing I liked, finally, Terrell's defense is forcing turnovers. Thank you. They've got 3 interceptions off of Mitch Trubisky. That was big. This defense is built off of getting turnovers. We don't rank very high in the yards categories, but when we get turnovers, we're very successful. And that's why we started the season 3-1, because teams are coughing the ball up against us. All right, to get moving along, some of the things I didn't like. Matthew Stafford getting sacked 4 times. This offensive line has got to get better at some point. I know guys are injured. I know Ricky Wagner's injured, I think. But I'm not seeing the improvement I wanted to see from this offensive line. The truth is, with the way we ran the football, no reason Stafford should have been sacked 4 times. There was one, I think that was his fault, where he held on to it too long. But otherwise, it was just Corey Robinson getting beat. Joe Dahl played a great game. I liked seeing that, but TJ Lang, honestly, not that great. Still need to make some improvements in that position, even though we spent a lot of money there. Next thing I disliked was the pass defense. We're really struggling with our pass defense. I mentioned how our rush defense hasn't been great the past few weeks. All season, our pass defense has not been good. We ranked 28th in the NFL in passing yards allowed, and this game didn't give me a lot of confidence. Now, I know Trubisky threw the ball a lot, and we did get 3 interceptions. But I have a problem with giving up a 99-yard touchdown drive. I know we were up 20-3, but still, there's no excuse for that. 99 yards. I don't care what the score is. Against this offense, that should never happen. And also, this is one of the worst receiving cores in the NFL. I know Kendall Wright is all right, but the fact that that guy is the number 1 receiver should tell you something. This offense ain't worth a darn. The pass defense is going to have to get a lot better, especially if they're going to face Aaron Rodgers in a couple weeks, which I don't think is going to happen, but very well could. You never know if the Packers might try to spoil the Lions' season. We'll see what happens. So this game pretty much went as I expected. Some of the things I expected to go well went well. We ran the football well. That was a little surprising, but otherwise just a decent, solid performance, but we still have a lot to prove. We still got to beat a team with a winning record. Win a big-time game, that means something. Sure, it means something to stay in the playoff race, but you got to do it in primetime games. The next 2 weeks, we won't have those opportunities. We got the Bengals next week, Packers next week, and the Packers are out of playoff contention. So we don't really know what we're going to get from them. But very possible the Lions win these next 2 games. If we don't beat Cincinnati, Caldwell should automatically be gone. If we don't beat the Packers, he should be gone. Now, our scenario is right now how we can make the playoffs. We have to win out. We lose a game, we're out. But if we win out, we're not guaranteed to get in. So here's what has to happen. The Falcons have to lose out. This is probably the most obvious scenario, and you all were probably very upset with what happened with the Buccaneers-Falcons game last night. The official taking too long to put the ball down, get set up. I don't know how much that would have impacted the game, but it seems like the clock always seems to be in the Falcons' favor, and it's going to get them in the playoffs. However, it is very possible the Falcons could lose to the Panthers and to the Saints. Those are their next two opponents. And those two teams are going to be playing for something as well. They're not going to rest their starters because the playoff positioning is still wide open. And those teams aren't even guaranteed to get in, so they still got to keep winning. So that's the most likely scenario. The next scenario is the Saints, either the Saints or the Panthers lose out, and either the Cowboys or the Seahawks go 10-6. The Cowboys and Seahawks play each other next week, I think, or week 16. I know they play each other, so one of them is going to lose one game. Whichever team wins that game, we have to hope they win the game after that. Because if the Saints or Panthers lose out, then there's a three-way tiebreaker between the Lions, the Saints/Panthers, and the Cowboys/Seahawks. If it's a three-way tie, the odds look in the Lions' favor. Because of I think it's because of either divisional record or common opponents. Our divisional record is good. Our only loss was to Minnesota. And assuming we beat the Packers, that would put our division record at 5-1. Now, if it's a three-way tie between the Saints, Panthers, Falcons, and Lions, or the first three teams I mentioned in the Lions, if there's a three-way tie, the Lions are done because we got swept by all those teams. But if there's a three-way tie between those teams, one of those teams, the Lions and the Cowboys or Seahawks, then the head-to-head goes out the window. Then the Lions, because of their divisional record, would get in. So there's a lot that has to happen, but this season's still very well alive. And look, I know I might not be the biggest Caldwell fan. I think he's an average coach, as I said in my last video. But I want to see this team make the playoffs. I want to see him prove something. This is his chance to prove something, and if he wins a playoff game, that would be huge because we haven't done that in a while. Every time we have a chance to win a playoff game, foam should be running from our mouth because it's just something that hasn't happened. We know it should have happened back in 2014. It didn't happen. This is Caldwell's last chance, I think, to win over the fan base. If he wins a playoff game, he should stay. And everyone will be very excited about that. So that's what I have to say. Thank you guys for watching. We got the Bengals next week. Should be a win, but never want to take anything for granted. Thanks, guys. Go Lions.